Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cocktails and Curtain Calls. I'm Matt Austin.
And I am Beth Young. And for the next half an hour, we have the privilege of speaking with Daniel C. Levine about the latest production from ACT of Connecticut. Welcome. It's so
Thanks.
good to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you guys again. I love our little our COVID Zoom chats, you know.
Yes. You know,
We
you're
make it
one of the
work.
few theaters actually doing theater, so it's really nice to be able to do episodes and talk theater.
Yeah, and
So,
I have to say,
Yeah.
like, I often complain, like, oh my God, it's so much work. We are so, ACT is so lucky and grateful for the fact that we actually are able to still produce theater and able to engage audiences. So yeah, I'm just so honored and grateful to be able to do what we love doing.
yeah.
That's it. It feels good when we do it.
I
Yeah.
don't think I've seen you since last 5 years. I have to say, I absolutely loved it.
Oh,
I'm
good.
sure you heard from Beth. It was such a wonderful production. You guys did such a wonderful job.
Thanks. It was
Yeah.
that was it was fun to sort of return to the stage with my theater partner Katie Diamond. And you know, I thought I was a little too old to play that part, but I think it all worked out.
That
Oh,
was great.
yeah, it was great. And I didn't have that feeling at all. And I thought you had terrific chemistry between the two of you. I mean, it was really
Good.
impressive.
The
I was really
staging and
moved by
everything.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Challenging directing it and being in it. That I will never do again. But thank you. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it.
You
It was
made it
nice to
work.
be
Everybody.
actually
So
in a
what
theater.
what have you got going on now?
Oh, yeah.
You're right. Oh God, just sitting there was so great.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was wonderful, wonderful. So tell us about your latest project.
So the latest project at ACT was a big one for us. So we were meant to. So our season was meant to include part of our season is the presenting Stephen Schwartz series. We do for the first few seasons of the theater. We're in our third season now. We're committed to doing. To producing and presenting one Stephen Schwartz musical per season. We started with our first season. We did Working. Our second season we did Godspell, and this season we were meant to do Stephen Schwartz's Snapshots, which is a musical that not a lot of people know about. It's been around for about a decade, and it's often reworked and music is added, and it's a beautiful little show that a lot of people just don't know. We made the decision. So last 5 years, as you know, when we did last 5 years, a couple of months ago, we were at 50% audience capacity. Plus, we were allowed to live stream it. So that was really terrific. But for Snapshots, because it's a bit of a larger cast than just the two, like in last 5 years, and because it's sort of an extensive set, the whole thing takes place in an attic, and you really need to have all of that stuff and all of those props. It's a bigger budget show. We made the decision, just because COVID numbers were sort of up and down in Fairfield County, to not have an in-person audience and to just have it a true stream, so that you could only see it if you stream on a specific night. So I brought this idea to Stephen Schwartz, and the idea was that I actually thought and still think that the story is better served in this sort of type of format. We can just cinematography and you know, it's not a film, it's a theater film sort of hybrid type of thing. But I sort of convinced myself and convinced Stephen that we would be better served if we can tell the story in this way. And he said, that's fine, but why don't you go for it? Stephen's, of course, on our advisory board at the theater. And Stephen allows me to do a lot of tinkering with his, you know, with his shows, like Working. As you guys know, I reconceived Working, which was a big success. Godspell. So I did the same thing with Snapshots, and we created this, what I think is sort of unbelievable stream of the show. It's sort of hard to explain because I don't think that there's anything like it. It's not a true stage production, and it's not a true film. It's somewhere in the middle, but it in a way it almost looks like a feature film. And we rehearsed this thing in just 6 days. I shot it in 10 days.
I cannot believe that. I
I know.
cannot
Wow.
believe what you just said.
I know. I know. You saw it. You saw it, and then I had 4 days to edit it. So the whole thing was like a 2 week like a little over a 2 week process.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
I'm sweating just thinking about that. It's
It
really,
was
I mean, I just the sheer amount of musical work, but
24
let me
musical.
just say you had talent. They were amazing. I mean, they really brought their chops. That was amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, the cast, Marianne Torres, who was in Elphaba on Broadway, and she was in a musical on Broadway called In Transit. She's amazing. Olivia Hernandez, Monica Ramirez. I mean, it was this John Cardoza from Jagged Little Pill. It's an unbelievably it's an interesting story, and you have to be really sort of careful with the storytelling because it can veer off, and you just have to, again, it's nuanced, and it's intimate, and it's emotional, and these guys brought their A game. And
They really, 6 days. I'm still there. That's amazing. It was not only that, the it is seamless when you're watching it. I
yeah,
don't, I, you said editing. I don't see any, I mean, it was seamless. It was
yeah,
smooth, and the set was perfection because it was had this confining, like they're not getting out of there, and it was really
yes.
effective, and that's hard to achieve like that. It was great. It was
Thank
just
you,
great.
and I'm glad you picked up on that. You know, the thing that I love about at ACT, we, as you guys know, because you've been to the theater several times, we have a turntable, and that I've for the past 3 years I've been directing on a turntable, and I've like really come to like sort of rely on the turntable for storytelling. And part of that is because the wing space at ACT is very limited. There's not a big backstage, so I've really figured out how to use that turntable to bring actors around and to bring set pieces just for storytelling. Like and so I did sort of the same thing. We didn't use obviously the turntable for snapshots, but I filmed it in such a way that it was almost as if we were using the turntable with these
Yeah.
sort of sweeping camera moves that like go into the mind of an actor and then out the other side, and then seeing across the room what somebody's thinking about, and then turning around to see what's actually happening over there. I mean, again, it was sort of my first time directing this medium, and I love it. And I mean, I want to do more of it. It was just so cool. And our audiences that have seen it are like, sort of like you, Beth, like blown away that it was such a limited amount of time for rehearsal and for shooting the thing. But they're just like loving this sort of new form of storytelling and seeing theater. I mean, we all want to get back to live theater, of course, but I think that we sort of set the bar in terms of streaming with this production. I'm really proud of the theater and the actors and what we've accomplished. It's great. It's really good. Yeah.
For those
Yeah.
that don't know Snapshots, can you give us a little of what it's about and how it uses Stephen Schwartz's music?
Yeah, so there's 26, I think 26 Stephen Schwartz songs in Snapshots, and with sometimes different lyrics, and sometimes, what I call like mashups. It goes from, Corner of the Sky to, a part of Making
Lion
Good,
tamer.
Lion Tamer.
Right.
There's Wicked, there's Pippin, there's Godspell, there's Working, there's Enchanted, there's Magic Show, there's The Baker's Wife, Chanson, and I mean, these are like amazing song. His best work, really. His best
Quite
song.
a walk down Broadway's memory lane. It
Totally.
really
And
is. Yeah.
it's interesting to hear these songs that we know, like it's not a review, but put to a different story, and oftentimes with lyrics.
Right.
Anyhow, the show is about a woman named Sue, who lives in the suburbs with her husband named Dan, and they've been married for a number of years. They have one child named Matt. And Matt recently went off to college, and Dan and Sue are alone at home, empty nesters now for the first time, and sort of realizing that they have nothing in common, and that they don't even like each other, it seems, right? And Sue has so the show starts with Dan is at work at his office, and Sue has over the past week been going up to the attic every night or every day while Dan is at work, packing her suitcase and planning her exit strategy. And she's made a hotel reservation, and she's packed her suitcases, and she's written essentially like a Dear John letter. And it's the day that she's finally decided to leave. She goes up to the attic to pack the last bit of her suitcase, brought up her clothes, and to finish the letter that she's been working on. And Dan comes home early from work and comes upstairs, and is like, what are you doing? And she tries everything to like cover it up and to like hide the fact that she's leaving, and she's made the decision to leave. And right away we see just how Dan is sort of not listening to her and disconnected and doesn't really pay her the attention that she deserves. They're both just missing one another, like in their relationship. And so she makes up this, he's like, what are you doing up here? And she makes up this excuse. She sort of sees like the first thing, oh, I'm just looking through these old photos. And, because she was trying to distract him from seeing the suitcase that she has on the shelf that she just packed. And they pick up these snapshots, these old photos, and the memories of their younger selves. They met when they were just kids, and they went to college together, and they got married. She got pregnant, and that's why they got married early, and blah blah blah. But these memories from these pictures come alive, and we see the younger Sue and the younger Dan throughout their lives. And over the course of an hour and 46 minutes, we with them go on a journey of remembering why they love each other, remembering why they're together, remembering what attracted to them to one another in the first place, and ultimately, spoiler alert, they make the decision to try harder and to continue on with their relationship. And it's a beautiful, beautiful story. It's highly emotional. I mean, I'm like getting choked up thinking about it. And
it is. It's very emotional. And you know what I loved was when. Is this the spoiler alert? It might be. I don't know. When the adult characters spoke to their younger selves.
Yeah. Oh.
That was really powerful,
Yeah.
because it's just being able to recognize that you're connecting backwards that way. That was, and beautifully
Thanks.
done.
Yeah.
There was this kind of like back and like really nicely
Thank
done.
you. Yeah, there's 6. It's a cast of 6, and so it's Dan and Sue, and then there's Daniel and Susan. It's the middle version, right? So Dan and Sue are meant to be like my age. They're like mid 40s probably. And then Daniel and Susan are them when they were in college, and then Danny and Susie are Dan and Sue when they met as children. So we get to see them, Danny and Susie, when they were little. We get to see Daniel and Susan as they matured and everything they went through when she got pregnant. And then we see this, then the story is told through Dan and Sue, current, present day. Yeah, but they get to talk to one another. They get to interact with their younger selves, and it's a man named David Stern wrote the book to it, and of course it's all Stephen Schwartz music, and it's I think it is a show that nobody knows, that if people know, they would love it, and like you don't get this music. There's like nothing better than Meadowlark.
Yeah. And it is so, yeah. So, Meadowlark, that was the first, when she broke into that with that, I'm not going to say anything about what I wrote. Anyway, so I don't want to repeat things, but yeah, I just found also the encouragement that they got from their younger selves, to like bits of advice, like, tell her, this kind. Yeah, I just loved that. It was very moving and very familiar. I mean, people who've been there, people who've struggled through this time, and so it just felt real. There was a real authenticity to it.
Yes, and I think that the way that we told the story in this medium that this hybrid, I think that you get an intimacy that you maybe wouldn't get telling this story on the stage.
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, you could see the pain on her face.
The camera is
right
here, and I'm just like, I'm so proud of it. And like I said, those actors are, I mean, you don't get better than this group of 6. They're amazing.
Oh gosh, the vocals, unbelievable, unbelievable, really. It was just stunning, and interestingly, they look like they were all related. Like each character looked like their younger self. How hard was that to find, or did you know?
It's like I had people in mind, many of them in mind, as I was, like I said, we had 6 days to rehearse this thing, right? So I had to pre-block it within an inch of its life and do all the camera moves within an inch of its life. Like I had all of that set before I had actors in that room. and so I did it with, it's funny, like I first imagined those people, even though we were still like working out their deals with their agents and are they in and are they, that whole thing. But I had that group of 6 people in my head while I was working, working it out. In fact, I, I had 6 music stands with their headshots taped to the and I would just like move them around the room, me being the camera and like weaving around them and all of that. So, but yeah, I mean, like it's Marianne Torres and Olivia Hernandez and Monica Ramirez. They certainly, there is something in the face that,
Yeah.
that they look, and the men as well. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
I thought so too. So tell us, for people to get access to this, where do they go? What do they do? And for how long can they see it?
It's like just for another week. It's been on for 2 weeks, I think. It's just another week. I think, yeah, it closes this Sunday. What day is today?
Monday.
Yeah, today's Monday. It closes on Sunday. I think that it's like, yeah, Wednesday through Sunday. You can go to our website, actofct.org, and click Snapshots, and it'll take you to our streaming platform, Stellar Streaming. And then you can buy tickets. The tickets are, there's $20 tickets for students and artists, and then there's like a range. But I think that when you buy a ticket, you have up to 2 days to watch it. So it's not like you have to watch it Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. You have 48 hours to watch it anytime you want. And so, yeah, but I hope everybody sees it because it's really moving, and it's a lot of work to do this. And I'm like I said, it was one of the most difficult projects for me to do because there were so many unknowns. I mean, so many unknowns. But one of the most rewarding, and I'm just so proud of it. I hope everybody sees it.
Well, you should be proud of it. Yeah, you should, because it was impressive and quite a learning curve in such a short period of time. I mean, that's steep. Where did you do it? Was it in the theater?
No. So we shot it in an attic.
In an actual attic.
Actual attic. That was part of the thing. I only wanted to do this. I mean, this is me like being a crazy director, but like I was like, I only want to tell this story if I can trap this group of 6 people in an actual attic and like not to let them. And your Beth, your first comment was like it felt confined and it felt like they're not going in, and that's like exactly what I wanted. I wanted them to be like, I can't get out of this room. And that's so we I found an attic from a friend of mine that was that was in Ridgefield. They were in Florida for the month, and I said, can I just use your attic for these 16 days? And so yeah, so we got that attic, and I designed it to look like, I mean, every prop that you saw was used. Like everything that you see at the beginning on the shelf, there's like so many things all over the place. Everything is sort of like what I do with my Godspell. Everything is like pulled and used, and it's from a different time in their life, and it sort of all makes sense by the end of the show. Remember the pictures when they're looking at the pictures?
Yeah,
And then
the red car.
red
Yeah,
car,
yeah,
all of that.
yeah. And I thought that was fascinating because then you're wondering what else is in there or whether. So that was a very, very, very nice tie-in. Kind of a rubber band backwards. So everything worked, and it led you again to their history.
That's right.
Everything in here is theirs and means something for them. So it was impressive. And it's something like this new medium that you're in might be something that becomes a thing for a lot of what you do, right? Is it
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing like live theater, of course. It's what we all love. But there's also something to film, and then I also think that there's something in the middle. And and who know, like we want to get back to 100% capacity as soon as possible, but there's going to be people that just don't feel comfortable, and who knows how long that's going to be. And so we have to just think of innovative new ways to engage the audience and to tell stories and to employ actors and to keep theater alive. So I think that this was a sort of a really cool like merge of worlds in a way.
Yeah.
On that note, what are the plans going forward? Do you guys have anything on the docket, or
with this show, or what's up next?
for the season, for the rest of the season? I know you have a season planned.
Yeah, well, I mean, so our last show, believe it or not, we're coming up to the last show of our season, May, June, which is meant to be Into the Woods. Into the Woods it being a very large show and still being at 50% capacity, I am like currently, I mean, my whole the past week has been about me like figuring out what Into the Woods is going to look like for us, and I think that I have finally come up with a really cool idea, and so that will be announced within the next 2 weeks.
Oh,
Great.
I'm looking forward to that. That's
Yeah,
exciting.
always thinking,
That's
always
exciting.
thinking.
You good. I love that. That's terrific. It's just wonderful. This is wonderful. It's just great to be able to still get it out there and to have people enjoy it. That's what
That's
we
right.
live
That's
for.
right.
So that's wonderful. Well,
Thank you.
Yeah,
congratulations.
congrats.
Job
Thank
I
you.
well
can't wait to
done.
see it.
Really, really, really
I was
impressive.
enjoying your conversation
Yeah.
with Beth. I'm very excited to see it now.
I'll send it to you.
Well,
Well,
thank you,
thank you
Dan.
so much for
Oh,
coming on. It was great to see you. Go ahead.
no,
Go
go
ahead,
ahead. You
Matt.
got it.
You, no, I was just saying thank you so much for coming on. It was great to have you here, and we look forward to whatever you've got coming up next. It's just one priceless production after another. Really,
Thank you,
it's
guys.
great.
Always lovely to see you, and thank you for supporting the theater. We appreciate it.
Oh, our pleasure.
Of
Thanks for
course.
inviting us in. You
And
take care, and we'll talk to you
All
soon.
right.
talk to you soon. Bye bye.